Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'll be reading The Missing Link, Chapter 2. I finished this morning at like 5 a.m. Yeah, I did. So, I don't know. It's pretty long, and I really like it. I just couldn't figure out a title for it, so I just called it The Confused Teacher. So, I'm just gonna get into reading it, because I don't really have anything else to say. So, Chapter 2, Confused Teacher. Shota was confused. It was the first day of the new school year at UA, and he was already down to 18 students. He hadn't even expelled anyone yet. Apparently, one of the kids, Minoru Mineta, had been expelled by Nezu because the kid's father was on the school board, and he changed his son's points so he'd get in. Luckily, Nezu caught him, and he was fired. The other kid, Yuga Aoyama, had apparently dropped out due to his family deciding to move last minute. Now, Shota was left with the other 18 students of his Class 1A. Shota would be fine, maybe. These teenagers were rowdy. But there was a contrast within the class. Was the contrast his son and like 2 other kids? Yes. Did it still count? Yes. Yes, it did. Shota decided it was finally time to introduce himself to his new class of teenagers. Right as the bell rang, he walked through the door and to the front of the class. Everyone was silent after a total time of 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Surprisingly, the first person to stop talking had been the loudest person in the room, a boy, Bakugo, who had an explosion quirk, and a very loud voice if the way he was yelling at Tensei's younger brother told him anything. Shota sighed. It took you a total of 3 minutes and 15 seconds to get quiet. That won't do. You should know time is precious. With that being said, he said, pulling out the students' gym uniforms. Put these on and meet me outside. The students, minus Bakugo and Hitoshi, all looked at him confused. Bakugo and Hitoshi, on the other hand, got up from their seats and grabbed their uniforms. Hitoshi had started making his way out the door, but Bakugo seemed to have another idea. Oi! What are you extras waiting for? A bomb to drop? Get your asses up and get your uniforms, the blonde said, before walking out of the classroom after Hitoshi. Bakugo's yelling seemed to break whatever spell of shock the rest of the class had been under. They all started scrambling towards the front. Some even started yelling after Bakugo. Ida, what? Who said that? Shota? Nah, what are you talking about? Shota would never say something like that unless it was logical. It was. What? After all of his students made their way outside, Shota did a head count. There were 18 students, so he started talking. Instead of going to the orientation today, you'll be doing a quirk assessment test, he explained. There were several outcries, but Shota silenced them by activating his quirk. If you want to waste your time on useless ceremonies, you can forget about UA. Now. After the quirk assessment test, Shota was surprised he didn't have to expel anyone. All 18 of the students in his class had great potential for becoming heroes, and they showed him they were going to use that potential. Later that same day, Shota had patrol. His patrols normally lasted from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. So once the clock hit 11, Shota was out the window of his shared apartment and running on rooftops. This patrol started out the same as any other. He caught a few muggers, said hi to some of the people who frequently walked around town at night, and he drank a juice pouch on the roof of a building while he waited to see anything. After a few minutes of just sitting on the roof, Shota decided he would walk on the ground for a while. As he walked, he ran into a young boy, who was probably about the same age as his first years. The boy looked frantic. He had dropped some of his stuff, but before Shota could offer to help him pick it up, the boy grabbed his sleeve. Shota looked the boy in the eyes. His black eyes met emerald green. The boy's grip on his sleeve tightened as he said, "Help him, please." There was a desperate undertone to the boy's voice. Shota didn't say anything. He just gestured for the boy to take him wherever he was needed. The boy nodded in understanding. Quickly grabbing his stuff from the ground before leading Shota into an alleyway where a man, around the age of 21, if Shota had to guess, sat, bleeding from his stomach. The wound looked to have been caused by a knife. Shota rushed forward towards the man. He could tell he was still conscious by the subtle way he was moving and adjusting his position. Shota only assessed the man's wound for a few more seconds before saying, "We need to get him to a hospital." He was cut off by the boy who'd found him, saying, "No, we can't take him to the hospital." Shota had learned not to ask questions a while ago. This topic seemed to be something deep for the kid, so Shota wasn't going to press. God knew he hated the hospital, so who was he to judge the kid for hating it? "We need to treat his wound in some way," Shota said, trying to use logic on the kid. The kid seemed to think for a second before saying, "You're a racerhead, right? You work at UA, which means you work with the hero recovery girl. She'd probably be able to heal his wound enough for him to be able to move, but she might refuse to heal him because of his quirk. Then again, she is supposed to be a healing hero who helps people. Do you think recovery girl would be willing to help him?" Shota blinked at the kid, who had literally just stated who he was and based on that information used his connections to come up with a solution to the problem at hand. Right, the problem at hand. Shota found his voice and responded, "Recovery girl would help him no matter his quirk. Plus, she owes me a few favors anyways." The kid seemed to smile at him. "Okay, let's get him to UA then?" the kid said in a questioning kind of tone. Shota nodded and said, "I'll have to wrap him in my capture weapon to make sure he doesn't bleed out." The kid nodded, and soon enough they were on their way to UA. Once they made it outside UA, Shota used the light from the school to look at the two boys who were with him. The young boy had white hair with a black fade, emerald green eyes, freckles splattered across his whole face, and he looked to have blood covering his hands as well as having splatters of blood on his black clothes. Then Shota looked at the older boy. He had light blue hair, sharp red eyes, and Shota noticed blood matted in the boy's hair alongside having blood splattered on his face and arms. Just what had these boys been through? Shota didn't think about it for too much longer since they'd finally made it to Recovery Girl's office. It had taken an hour and a half for Recovery Girl to heal the boys' injuries and clean them up. After Recovery Girl finished with the boys, she said, "They need to stay the night so I can monitor their injuries." Shota saw the younger boy tense at Recovery Girl's words. Shota turned to the boy instead of talking to Recovery Girl. "What's your name, kid?" Shota asked as he crouched down in front of the boy. "Izuku Shimura," the kid said. "That's Tenko, my brother," he said, gesturing towards the other boy who was asleep. "How old are you guys?" Shota asked, calmly. "I'm 15, and Tenko's 21, the kid supplied. "Do you mind telling me what happened in that alleyway?" Shota asked, keeping his voice level, even though he was thinking about murdering the people who'd hurt these two. The short version of the story is that our father got mad at Tenko and tried to teach him a lesson, which basically just means he hurts him until he's on the brink of death. This time, I tried to stop him, and I dodged a few of his attacks, but I did get hit by some of them, but this time was probably one of the worst, especially since he didn't let us ask Mama Giri to help patch Tenko up," the kid said. Shota wanted to kill this kid's father. What kind of person hurts their children to teach them a lesson? This man sounded terrible, and he felt bad for these kids who had to deal with this man all of the time. "How long has he been doing this?" Shota asked, concern seeping into his tone. "I didn't witness it, nor did I fall victim to it until I was 6. But Tenko told me it had been happening since he was 6, Izuku explained. Shota took a deep breath. "Do you know where your father is right now?" he asked, trying to keep the anger he felt towards this man out of his voice. "No, he just threw Tenko and me into the alleyway after hurting Tenko, and he said something, but I don't remember what he..." Izuku cut himself off and went pale. "Hey, you okay, kid?" Shota asked, reaching his hand out towards the kid. Izuku flinched hard. Shota put his hand down. Sorry, I just remembered what he said," Izuku said, stuttering. "What did he say?" Shota asked, not even trying to hide the concern in his tone. He said, "If you even try to have a hero help you, I'll kill them," Izuku said, eyes turning to the ground. Shota frowned. Not only was this man abusing his kids physically, but he was also abusing his kids mentally. Shota was going to kill this man when he got his hands on him, but right now he has a traumatized child in front of him, and he needed to reassure him. Shota, while exaggerating his movements, put a hand on the boy's shoulder. The boy looked at him, eyes glassy. "Listen, kid," Shota said, firmly. "You don't have to worry. Your father won't be able to hurt me, and if he tries to, I'll break his arms." The boy laughed. It was loud and full of humor. Shota's lips quirked up ever so slightly. "You're funny, Eraserhead," the boy said once his laughing died down. "Also, I know he won't be able to hurt you, because even though he acts tough, I know I can hurt him just as bad, if not worse, than he hurts me and Tenko." Shota didn't doubt that for a second. He may have just met the kid, but he could already tell that he had a strong spirit. "I don't doubt it, kid," he said, gently ruffling the kid's hair as he stood up. "Are you okay with staying the night here?" The boy nodded. "That's fine. I mean, I don't think we'd be able to leave, since I know I'd have trouble carrying Tenko. Well, I am strong and would be able to lift him. It would just feel weird," Izuku said, looking at his arms. Shota snorted. "I get it, kid," he said. "I have to go home now, but I'll check on you at 2 in the morning before classes start, okay?" "Okay," the boy chirped. Shota ruffled the kid's hair again before he left. When he got home, he was greeted by his son. "Hi, Dad," Hitoshi said, taking a sip of his coffee. "How was your patrol?" Shota sighed as he took off his capture weapon. He walked over to the coffee machine and started making his coffee. Once his coffee was done, he answered. "Sad," he said. "Sad?" Hitoshi asked. "Not the normal work of an underground hero?" "It was the normal work of an underground hero. But you can't tell me you wouldn't feel sad after helping a traumatized child realize he was safe and his father wasn't going to be able to kill you just because he threatened to kill any hero who helped him," Shota said, taking a sip of his coffee. "Wow," Hitoshi said. "Is he okay?" "Yeah, physically at least," Shota said. "We're going to check on him before classes start tomorrow." "You took him to UA instead of the hospital?" Hitoshi asked, confusion bleeding into his tone. "Yes, because he expressed his distrust for hospitals," Shota said. "Also, I didn't just help one kid, I helped 2. I helped that boy and his older brother, who technically isn't a kid since he's 21. "Okay," Hitoshi said, probably not knowing what else to say. "I'm gonna try to sleep now. Night, Dad," he said, putting his mug in the sink before walking away towards his room. "Good night, Hitoshi," Shota said as he continued to drink his coffee. Okay, that's the end of this chapter. I'm gonna give you guys a tiny spoiler / insight to the next chapter. In the next chapter, the POV, instead of being Shota or Bakugo, it will be Izuku. So we finally get to see Izuku's point of view. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. I have to post 2 edits after this. I have to post the edit of Shiozaki and Kendo. So I really hope you guys enjoyed. Yes, I said that twice. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Also, I'm almost done with Sometimes All You Need Is a Hand, the next chapter, chapter 5. So keep a lookout for that. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!